Dear viewers, and welcome to this very special edition of our program Africa Today. In today's edition, we are dedicating this episode to talk about the Gargoub area in Egypt's northwest, which witnessed the inauguration of a naval base dubbed the July 3rd Naval Base. Officials say the base is the largest naval base and it stretches over 10 million square meters overlooking the Mediterranean Sea. More details in the following story.
According to officials, the July 3 naval base is regarded as a strategic priority in preserving economic potential, securing sea transport lines, and maintaining maritime security using combat groups of surface units, submarines, and air effort. Inaugurated Saturday, officials said it is part of a comprehensive national development plan for the naval forces. They said the July 3 naval base will also help in protecting navigation in the Suez Canal and confront illegal immigration as well as smuggling. It will reportedly also provide logistical support for the Egyptian troops in the Red and Mediterranean Seas to solve any challenges that may arise in the region. The base reportedly includes 28 armored combat boats, 2 Italian Frem M Bergamini frigates, 4 Swift boats, an Egyptian-manufactured Go-Wind-class design frigate, and a German-made Type 209 submarine. It also includes 74 facilities and a military pier with a length of 1,000 meters and a depth of 14 meters, a number of commercial piers at a length of 2,200 meters and a depth of 17 meters, as well as 2 breakwaters with a length of 3,650 meters. The Egyptian flag was raised on Saturday above 47 naval vessels to officially mark the beginning of their service in the Egyptian Navy.
And to shed light on this very important inauguration of the naval base in Gargoub, we are very much delighted to have with us over the phone General Mahoud Khalaf, our strategic expert. General Khalaf, good morning, sir. صباح الخير يا سيادة اللواء.
صباح الخير، اهلا وسهلا. Hello?
Can you hear me? Major General, can you hear me? Yes. Would you please highlight the importance of opening the naval base yesterday, Gargoub Naval Base? What's the importance of its inauguration? Of course, this naval base is so important because it has several advantages, the most important of which is that it is a message to the whole world signifying the power and strength of Egypt and its ability not only to secure Egypt, but it also can support security in East the Mediterranean that we all know is facing number 10 and different struggles between a number of countries. So this is a very important deterring message, and this shows that anyone who would threaten the national security of Egypt over the western coast would be deterred and prevented. And as we have seen yesterday, the inspection of the different machinery, tools, weapons and equipment, and it shows that there are sea, land and sky, weapons, armors and machinery. And on the eastern coast we have also other naval bases like Ras Banat on the Red Sea. So these are very important naval bases to secure the national security of Egypt in all directions, and this is the important contribution to the stability and security of the whole world, be it in the Red Sea or the Mediterranean. Major General Mahoud Khalaf, how do you see the timing of this inauguration of the naval base? The timing, of course, is related to the developments of the military forces, and it's not related to the politics, because it shows how the armed forces and the military in Egypt is developing. The military in Egypt knows the suitable timing for inaugurating any base to highlight the strength and power of Egypt, as we have seen. How do you see the presence of leaders and commanders from the United Arab Emirates and Libya in the inauguration ceremony? What's the importance of having those leaders and commanders in this event? This is a very important message also, because it reflects the fact that the Arab national security is related to the Egyptian national security. So the Egyptian power and strength is an addition to supporting the Arab national security in all directions, and this is a very important message. The presence of the Arab leaders and commanders in such an event is very important, as if we are trying to tell the whole world that the Arab countries are not on their own, and that Egypt is supporting the Arab countries, and all the Arab countries are supporting Egypt, and this is a very important political message, in addition to the fact of the relation between the Arab peoples, so that they would know that all Arab countries are one part and parcel. Major General, during the inauguration yesterday, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi emphasized that Egypt throughout history has never threatened any country, but military development and these inaugurations are to protect the national security of Egypt, to protect the region, and to face any threats or any security challenges facing Egypt or any of the neighboring countries. So how do you see such declarations? These are very important statements to be made by the President. This is a naval base, and its objective is deterrence. And deterrence means that those who would come closer to the Egyptian national security or the Arab national security and try to harm it would face grave consequences, because sometimes people are worried about the solidarity of the Arab countries, but this shows that Egypt is an additional power to the Arabs, and the Arabs are an additional power to Egypt, and this shows the armed power not only for Egypt, for its brothers and sisters, the Arabs. Major General, what is the message that might reach out to the whole world through inaugurating this naval base on the Mediterranean? We have emphasized this in the beginning, and once more we repeat it. This is a message to everybody that anyone who would threaten the Egyptian national security would be penalized harshly, because we protected the national security of Egypt and the security of all Arab countries. So all countries should be aware of this, should be aware of the punishment, and they would face if they would try to use power against our country. Major General, on the sidelines of yesterday's inauguration, the President held a banquet for the leaders, and he announced the importance of having a binding agreement for all parties regarding the Renaissance Dam. What would you like to say about that? We can look now at the Arab and Egyptian mobilization, and this is a message to Ethiopia that the President of Ethiopia and the Ethiopians are making wrong calculations. They think that they would put Egypt in a state of self-defense, and they think that this would not have consequences, but in fact it would have grave consequences, and Egypt has all options, and all options are there. Finally, Major General, the selection of this location for this naval base on the borders with Libya and overlooking the Mediterranean Sea. This is very clear. Of course, it is a very clear message. The location does not need any comments. It is in the northwestern coast of Egypt, in a naval area close to the Libyan borders on the east, the Mediterranean, and most of the powers are there, so it is a normal site, and all military people all over the world can understand from this location a lot of messages. Your Excellency, Major General Mahoud Khalaf, Chief of Staff, Major General Mahoud Khalaf, the strategic expert. Thank you for this intervention.
Our dear viewers, and back to Africa, where an online e-visa portal for tourists was launched in Egypt. The move eases obtaining tourist visas to visit Egypt. According to the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities, the service is available to tourists from 74 countries and in 8 languages. More details in the following story by Samah Sharif.
An online e-visa portal for tourists through which they can get their tourist visas to visit Egypt was launched. The portal will allow citizens of the listed countries on the website the ability to easily apply for a tourist visa. The e-visa can be downloaded by applicants and will be checked by authorities upon arrival in Egypt. This portal also enables tourists to pay online using their debit or credit card and provides thorough instructions on how to start applying for an e-visa. One common complaint for incoming travelers in the past has been the inability to pay for a visa using their credit or debit cards at the airport, with payment in US dollars or Egyptian pounds being required. According to instructions on the portal website, a traveler applying online through the portal will need to ensure they arrive in Egypt with a passport valid for at least 6 months from the date of arrival, a printout of their e-visa, a copy of their travel itinerary, a supporting letter for business-related travel or family visits, details of their hotel bookings, and places they intend to visit. According to the website, Egyptian passport authorities still have the right to decline any person from entering Egypt without explanation, as is the case for any other standard issue visas. After dropping by 70% due to COVID-19, tourism has witnessed a steady recovery since the pandemic.
The UN is warning that the security in Ethiopia's Tigray could deteriorate fast as hundreds of thousands face starvation in the region. Foreign reporters said that trucks waited 4 days before unloading. The World Food Programme, meanwhile, said it is resuming aid deliveries, but it is still way behind. More details.
The United Nations has warned that the conflict could rapidly flare again in Ethiopia's Tigray and that famine was worsening in the region, where local fighters declared victory this week after an 8-month war with central government and allied forces. The Tigray People's Liberation Front, provincial authorities, which Ethiopian forces and troops from neighboring Eritrea drove out last year, returned to regional capital Mekelle on Monday to cheering crowds. UN Political and Peace-Building Affairs Chief Rosemary DiCarlo told the UN Security Council that there is potential for more confrontations and a swift deterioration in the security situation, which is extremely concerning. The Ethiopian government declared a unilateral ceasefire on Monday, which the TPLF dismissed. There are reports of continued clashes in some places as pressure builds internationally for all sides to pull back. Acting UN aid chief Ramesh Rajasingham said shortages of food had worsened dramatically over the past 2 weeks, and some 400,000 people in Tigray were now estimated to be in famine, with another 1.8 million on the brink of famine. The government denied blocking humanitarian aid to Tigray and said it was rebuilding infrastructure amid accusations it is using hunger as a weapon. The World Food Programme, WFP, has resumed deliveries into Tigray, but faces continuing access problems and is way behind in bringing supplies to people facing starvation. WFP Emergency Coordinator Tommy Thompson, speaking by satellite phone from Mekelle, said fighting continued in some hot zones and that his 35 staff had been trapped during the hostilities.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi said it is important to reach a legally binding international agreement over Ethiopia's Grand Renaissance Dam. He expressed appreciation for Ethiopia's development needs, but this should not be done on the expense of others. Al-Sisi was speaking during the banquet held on the sidelines of the inauguration ceremony of an Egyptian naval base dubbed the July 3rd Naval Base. Al-Sisi on Saturday inaugurated the 3rd of July Naval Base, a new base overlooking the Mediterranean Sea near the Egyptian-Libyan border in Gargoub area. Marking the inauguration, President Sisi signed a document establishing the 3rd of July Naval Base and raised the Egyptian flag on the newly inaugurated base. The head of state also handed over the military flags to the naval units, announcing their entry into service. The 3rd of July base is located 70 kilometers west of Marsa Matruh, will be in charge of securing Egypt's northern and western strategic borders. Abu Dhabi Crown Prince and Deputy of Supreme Commander of the United Arab Emirates Forces, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, congratulated President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi over the inauguration of the 3rd of July Naval Base. With that, our dear viewers, we come to the end of this edition of Africa Today, where we have been dedicating this episode to the inauguration of the Egyptian Naval Base. Many thanks for watching.